Hey everybody, hopefully you can hear me okay, see me okay. It's closing in on 10 o'clock here. So this is a live video. If you're watching it on a delay, I won't really be able to answer your questions, but if you're watching live, welcome. Tim Buckley with you. Want to talk a little bit about our winter storm that seems to have all of us in a frenzy, right? We are watching this still on track, still everything kind of on schedule going into the weekend. A couple of changes today. We also put out our first maps for accumulation, so I'll go over that, kind of what we're thinking now, how it could change still in the next 2 days before the storm gets here, and basically just kind of stuff like what you need to do to plan for this. By the looks of the grocery stores, I think everyone has enough food, right? Kind of good with that. But that system is coming together. We're still looking at the pieces coming together, and it'll be really a mixed bag with some snow to start off, turning into sleet, then eventually some freezing rain as well. We could even have a first little band of snow that sets up almost like a surprise on Saturday afternoon, many hours before the actual storm gets here. So a little bit of a weird setup. It's always a little different here in North Carolina. Thanks for chatting. We have about 300 folks watching here. I'll do my best to scroll through the comments as we're going along. So Kay, I see you, Jonathan and Jonah and Shawnette, Yvette, Gail, Curtis, a lot of other people are watching here. If you do have questions, like Jamie's asking, has there ever been a tornado in a snowstorm? Good question. I'm sure there have, but not here. We will do our best to kind of answer those questions as we go along, but be patient because I'm going to actually go through all my information first in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes or so, and then I'll scroll back, okay? So take care with the comments, and let's get going. I'll talk a little bit about this weather system. First things first, this thing is still really far away. It's close enough that we are able to get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen, but the storm is physically still a pretty good distance away from us. So here we are in North Carolina. We had a couple of sprinkles today, hardly any. The storm system, well, it's way over here. You can see it's made some pretty good progress. A couple of days ago, it was way over the Pacific Ocean. Now it's progressing over the Dakotas. So let's take a look at where it is. You can already see it's really started to develop a lot of snow. And just like what we're expecting to see here, there's mixed bags with this. You have rain, you have sleet and freezing rain, and then you have the heavy snowfall on the top side. So this has been coming in from a place called Saskatchewan, Canada, which is a province up there, right near Montana, right near North Dakota. This storm is going to take a path that brings it through the middle of the country, and then it's kind of a weird look to it, but it will be moving into the south. So take a look. It kind of goes like this over the next 2 days, and then it moves our way, of course, by Sunday. So that's the path that the storm system will be taking. Reason we think it's going to be a winter storm for us and not 55 and rain like we see a lot is very simple. Cold air is moving in. So take a look here at this map. This is the chart I drew up for today. We have very cold air right here in Canada and in New England on Friday. That's tomorrow. So that cold air is going to be gathering. And then by Saturday, it's really going to be on the move. So what's going to happen, you're going to see the cold air move in like this. And then at the same time, that storm system that I just talked about, it's going to be colliding with it. So those are the two pieces of the puzzle that you need for winter weather here in North Carolina. You need to have the cold air first, and then you have to have that moisture. So I think we're going to have both of those ingredients, which is why I'm still forecasting winter storm. Now here's the kind of the animation as we go forward. That cold air really locks in on Saturday. The storm system gets cranking across the south, and it'll be here by Sunday morning. A little bit of a wild card that I was mentioning briefly in the opening comments. Saturday afternoon, you see this? There could be a couple of quick little snow showers. Not many, but there could be some snow showers Saturday afternoon. So if you're out and about trying to do last minute things, there may be some snow that falls from the sky. If it's persistent enough for a couple of hours, we could get some quick accumulations, even like a dusting to ½ an inch on Saturday afternoon. It might make for some slick spots. So just kind of pay attention to that. That could be a little surprise with this system. There are always some surprises, and I think that might be one in this event. This computer model here has it a little bit, that brief initial burst of snow could happen on Saturday afternoon. Then we're pretty quiet until Sunday morning. Let's take a look through the timeline. This is early on in the Sunday morning day. So when you're waking up early Sunday, it's very likely that you're going to start to see some heavier snow. The first part of this storm system is going to be a snow system. However, it's not going to be a snowstorm the whole time. It's going to be a beginning as snow event. And then this pink shade on the map here, what that is, this is when you have warm air that gets above the surface. We're going to be cold the whole time here at the ground. It'll be in the 20s pretty much all day on Sunday. But with warmer air coming in above the surface, it's going to melt those snowflakes, and then you can't get them back once they're melted. Instead, what we're going to see is something called sleet, where you get those tiny ice balls that form as a result and kind of ping on your window and on your windshield. We'll have sleet for a good chunk of the day, and then it turns into freezing rain, which can coat your car and coat the trees with a thin glaze of ice. By late night on Sunday, this is moving out, and then by Monday, it's all gone and all out of our area. I'll show you one other computer model just to give you a comparison. There's the brief little snow shower on Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, we see the snow moving in. You have this big bright pink shade of sleet and freezing rain that makes it icy for the middle of the day. And then by Sunday night, we're really seeing this come to an end pretty quickly, just tapering off with a few scattered snow showers. And then by Monday, everything is dry. Once we get to Monday, we're dry for several days, but it will not warm up very much. So here's the deal. Our storm moves in and moves out on Sunday. However, we're going to stay cold for a long time. So the problem is once you have this snow, once you have this ice and sleet on the ground, it's probably going to be with us a good chunk of next week. So I really want you to kind of be where you want to be on Sunday, because you might not be getting out of your neighborhood super easily if it doesn't ever get plowed, which most of our neighborhoods in the Triad never get touched, right? Low 20s each morning of next week, afternoon highs only in the 40s. So the sun is going to have a lot of work to do. Let's talk a little bit about who gets what. Bottom line, most areas in the west are going to end up with the most snow and sleet. Now, a little bit about this map. This is a combination of snow and sleet. I know some apps out there say we're going to get a foot of snow or things like that. The reason I don't think that that is the case is because snowfall accumulates nice and big and fluffy. Once you start to mix it in with those sleet pellets, those ice balls, it really compacts whatever snow is on the ground and it gets shorter. It also gets icier and less fluffy. So those are the factors that we consider here, and taking that into account, I think most of the Triad area, including Winston, Greensboro, High Point, even Reedsville, over to Burlington, mainly in that 2 to 4 inch range or so. So right along I-85, I-40, most of us are in the 2 to 4 inch range as of now. This could shift. It could go a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, but this is probably that heavy area of sleet and snow that you're going to have to shovel out of your driveway this weekend. Farther to the north and the west, it doesn't really switch over as fast. So you get longer snow, and you could see more like 4 to 6. Farther up in the elevations, like the foothills and the mountains, takes even longer. So I think you're going to have more snow than anybody else. 6 to 8 inches is a conservative estimate. You could even get closer to 10 or 12 up in the mountains and in the foothills. So keep an eye on that. Those are your highest areas of sleet, excuse me, sleet and snow. Then farther to the south and east is kind of the opposite. These are the areas like Durham, Asheboro, Troy, Charlotte. You're going to have more in the way of freezing rain, more in the way of sleet, less in the way of snow, and it'll be harder for that snow to really add up. So I think less than 2 inches is likely in all of those areas. Talk a little bit about ice problems. Ice is going to be a bit of a problem with this storm. And the hardest part of the forecast, I think, is figuring out where you're going to have enough ice to create power outages. The roads are going to be bad for everybody. Everybody's going to have bad roads in the Triad for driving, for getting around, and that's going to be a big enough issue. The question of power outages is different. Power outages aren't always a big problem when it's just snow. They even aren't a huge problem when it comes to just sleet. And the reason is that the sleet pellets are just those tiny ice balls, kind of like little marbles. So they don't stick to a power line. They don't really weigh down a tree like ice does. Ice, freezing rain, that's regular old rain that coats everything in sight. It coats the power lines, it makes them sag, all that kind of stuff, you know? That's the potential that we're still gonna have some of that. And the areas that have the most of that could have some scattered power outages and down trees and those kind of things. So take an eye on this. I think the area with the heaviest freezing rain is corridor from Durham to Raleigh to Sanford to Asheboro to Troy to Charlotte. Somewhere in here could have much more than I'm thinking, and more than 1/4 of an inch of ice would be able to put down some power outages. So this is kind of the wild card in the forecast, which is why I want all of us to at least be prepared for power outages. I'm not saying they're going to happen very commonly in our area, but you should be prepared for that. And if you're prepared, you won't really regret it. It's fine. Have the batteries, know where the flashlight is. I never know where my flashlight is. I never know where my winter clothes are either, so I got to locate them. But as long as you do that ahead of time, you'll be served pretty well here going into the storm. So bottom line, the storm is a Sunday morning to Sunday evening thing, except for that wild card snow band on Saturday afternoon that might make things a little slick. Most of us get that burst of snow early on Sunday, then we turn to sleet, then we turn to freezing rain, more snow in the foothills and mountains. We want to plan on difficult travel pretty much all day long, and the roads could be really tough for several days, especially in the neighborhoods. The main roads like I-40, 85, 52, 220, the crews can take care of that. The crews do a great job. They just don't touch everything. So as far as, getting to work or something on Monday, the hardest part, I think, is going to be getting out of neighborhoods. Once you get on the main roads, crews should be able to get to them in pretty good order, and especially by Monday afternoon, they should be fine, certainly by Tuesday. The city streets and your neighborhoods, those are going to be the big problem. So bottom line for impacts here, we're looking at travel as a huge problem. Ice is a big problem, especially areas south and east that get more of it. Snow, yes, that's a problem too, but a lot of this is going to fall as sleet, which kind of ruins a bit of the fun factor for the snow. Power outages, yes, they are going to be a factor, but mostly just for some scattered areas, not for all of us, okay? Not for all of us. Another flash of the 7-day forecast does show how cold I think it's going to be. Very cold air several days afterwards. So every night we're going to refreeze. So there's melting and then there's refreezing. And there's melting and then there's refreezing. And even if it's only a couple of inches on the ground, sleet is much harder to melt than snowflakes are. Sleet is much harder to do. So that's really a difference maker, which means we might see this really stick around for the bulk of our week next week, and a very winter-like look for a long time, and it might make things difficult to get around our area, which is not so fun. Not so fun. Zach wants it to be 80 and sunny. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Other questions? John Tarek, hello to you. Mary's in Ashboro. She says she always loses power in ice events. Yeah, that's not fun, is it? So Kenny's in Wilkes County. Mostly snow for you, but I did edit our map a little bit, and I don't get any joy out of doing this. This is kind of who gets what. Areas that get mostly snow will get the most of it. That's a profound thing, isn't it? The mountains and the foothills. There will still be some sleet, I think, that mixes in. I didn't really think that yesterday, but that's changed. I think that will happen for you too. So that will cut into totals a little bit. If I drew a map yesterday, I probably would have had you in 8 to 12 inches over there. Now I have 6 to 8. And that's kind of accounting for that sleet, okay, and uncertainty. Everything can still change, by the way. Things always change. But we're at the point now where you need to plan. So I need to put out a forecast for you with the best info I have available. Other questions? Thanks for being here, everybody. Terry, yes, that's where I have you right now. That could go up or could go down. Gay's going to Charlotte this weekend. So Charlotte's going to have this storm too. They are likely to get more ice than us. So a good amount of ice on top of perhaps 1 to 2 inches of snowfall, I would say, and some sleet. So it's going to be a big mess in a Charlotte area as well, only on Sunday. So Saturday's okay, but Sunday's a big mess. For much of the state, it's really much of the state, yes. Amanda, sleet. Yeah, sleet makes for tough travel too. So when it accumulates, if it comes down hard enough and it sticks on the roads and it accumulates, it does make for difficult travel as well. A lot of questions for Caswell. I have you in the kind of 2 to 4 inch range right now. Maybe a little bit more than that is possible as well. High Point, Winston, most of us are in 2 to 4. Oh, Montreal's got a wedding afternoon on Monday. All right, well, Monday is dry. Monday is dry and sunny. But yeah, it's going to be difficult to get around. Hopefully Hope for the best. Congratulations, by the way. Dave wants to know what the winds look like. Good question. So winds-wise, we are looking at some winds gusting between 20 and 30 miles per hour throughout the storm. So when you have wind is a bit of a factor. If you have any trees that aren't super strong to begin with, anything that might be weighed down in any way from some snow or some sleet or freezing rain, yeah, there are going to be some scattered trees that fall. I'm not saying this is going to happen in everybody's backyard like it did a couple weeks ago when we had higher winds. But that is something to keep in mind. And really, that's why I mentioned the power outages, is not just because of the ice, but also because of the winds as well. So good point. I didn't mention enough about that in the spiel. How long do you think it will stick around? Well, Candace, it's all going to depend on how much is on the ground. But if you get 4 inches or so in Winston of a lot of sleet and a lot of snow, it's probably going to be there for about 4 or 5 days on some of those roadways. Cheryl, yeah, you can stay in Oak Island. It's going to be pretty nice there, I'm sure, compared to here. A lot of people asking their hometowns. So I have y'all on the maps here. Most of the Triad from a glaze to 1/10 of an inch of ice, maybe 1/4 of an inch in some spots, maybe some more than that to the south and east. You can see these are opposites, right? So when I show you this, it's the opposite of that. So you either get more snow and sleet or more ice. And that sleet is really what ruins the snowfall for us. If we didn't have any sleet at all, we could all be picking up over 1 foot of snow maybe. But the fact that it's going to be predominantly sleet most of the day, in my opinion, on Sunday, that's kind of what really cuts into our snowfall amounts and snowfall potential. Snow again on Thursday. Diana, I have no idea. I have been spending every waking minute about my life on this storm this week. I really don't know. I haven't heard anything about next Thursday. I know next weekend there's at least a low chance, but no, nothing for Thursday, at least that I've heard of just yet. Other questions? Mount Airy, I have you at around 8 inches or so. You could get a lot of snow up there. People asking about schools being out next week. Everyone's off on Monday. Right? Some places even have, I think Guilford has a teacher workday on Tuesday. So that kind of works in their favor. There is a chance that a lot of schools could go remotely depending on power outages. Those are all factors. So I'm really not sure. I'm not the school person at all. But I do think there are going to be some issues getting people around. Sparta, Barbara's up in Sparta. Oh, you got the elevation up there. Oh boy. Yeah, you're going to be in that 8-inch range or so. 6 to 8, maybe a little bit more. You're getting a lot of snow up in those higher places, for sure. Oh, I see Toya got all the bread. Toya got all the bread. Sounds good. Yeah, if you're going anywhere on Sunday, I would definitely pack a bag. So, like, just for full disclosure, I'm going to be working here all weekend. When I come in for the storm, I'm going to bring a bag in case I need to stay here. I'm not so sure if I'll be able to make it back. I'm going to be prepared for all of that. So I would recommend that too if you're maybe a healthcare worker, all these people that need to be at work. Be ready, be prepared to do those things because that can be an issue. Air travel problems. I think air travel will be a problem on Sunday. I'm not sure about beyond that. A lot of people are just joining. I'll go through things a little bit kind of as a backup here. So bottom line, we have, and this will be repetitive for folks who have been here the whole time. So here's the deal. We have a little system exiting right now. It brought us a sprinkle. Here's our winter weather maker. It's in the middle of the country right now. It's going to do this. So over the next 3 days, it's going to do that. And then by Sunday morning, it's here. Now, one thing we're going to follow is a little surprise burst of snow possible on Saturday afternoon. I'm pretty confident this is going to be a thing now. So we have nothing tomorrow. It's just windy and cool. But by Saturday, we will have a little bit of a burst of snowfall in the afternoon. That's not the storm, that's something different. That's kind of that cold air punching in, but we will have a little bit of a couple hours, maybe of some snowfall Saturday afternoon. Might be able to put down a quick dusting to a half an inch in some places, so keep an eye out for that. As far as the winter storm goes, that's getting stronger on Saturday. It's moving through Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, and this moves closer to the Triad. And then by Sunday morning when you're waking up is when we start to see that snowfall. Here's the computer model I'm showing right now, the European. Snow on the front end, and then that pinkish shade is where the warm air contaminates things. The warm air comes in, it melts the snowflakes, and then it refreezes it into ice before it hits the ground. So you get sleet. You could also have some freezing rain to deal with as well. So it goes from snow to sleet to freezing rain, and then maybe back to snow to finish off. So it's really a true cocktail of all kinds of winter weather for our area. If you live in the foothills and in the mountains, you have a better chance to stay snow most of the time. In most of the Triad, though, we don't get that luxury. We're going to be snow for a bit, probably 4 hours, 5 hours or so in the morning, and then we transition into sleet. Stay that way for a long while, and then some freezing rain too, which really depends on where you live. I think freezing rain is most likely from Charlotte to Troy to maybe Asheboro and over to Sanford. You could have problems with power because of that ice. Snow totals really vary from place to place, and this is not going to be my final forecast, but this is my first forecast. I do think a lot of snow is likely for the mountains and foothills, between 6 to 8 inches, maybe more. I could certainly see someone over that way getting over a foot. That's totally possible. Farther to the east, you're not going to get much snow. Raleigh, Sanford areas around an inch or less. Durham, Burlington, Asheboro, Troy, probably around 1 to 2, maybe. And keep in mind, all of this snow, it would be so much more, but it's getting compacted by the sleet. So that's really weighing it down and making it more icy, and that the weight of ice balls is heavy. So it makes the snow quite different, which is why our numbers are lower. Most of the Triad should have about a 2 to 4 inch shovel to deal with by Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening when it's all said and done. So that's a good amount. That's a good amount when it comes to sleet. Not a fluffy snow, but for sleet it is. It's a lot. Freezing rain, that's the biggest issue farther south and farther east. Not as big of an issue farther north and farther west. But power outages will be an issue in some of these areas, especially the darker shade of pink, okay? All right. Questions? A lot of people keep asking about their hometowns. I think I got that covered. Icy roads are going to be, the roads are just going to be really bad. So the roads will be bad, and it won't take long for them to get bad either. A couple of weeks ago, the road stayed fine for a long time. Why? Well, it was pretty warm, and the ground was really warm as well. This time around, the ground's going to be cold, the roads are cold, and it's going to stick pretty much right away. So the roads will start to get bad in the morning, and then they'll stay bad all day, and maybe for a couple days. Yvette, I do not like ice and freezing rain either. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Lindsay. And again, power outages, just be prepared for that. I'm not saying you're going to lose power. None of us want to. A lot of us did just a couple weeks ago. I don't know who's going to have power outages. I'm not sure. But the areas that have the biggest chance of that are south and east, and those areas that get the freezing rain the most. Just be prepared. No, the mountains are not going to stop the storm, and the reason for that is that it's actually going to come in from the south. So it's kind of sidestepping them. It's going to go south and then come in north. So it's not really coming in from the west. Melissa, that's the way I see it for right now. Elmer, I would have a warm blanket. I would have a shovel. I would have, all kinds of things to kind of keep you warm, all those things. Jonathan, I have no idea how much Snowshoe Virginia is going to get. I'm sorry. Very sorry. Megan, these things always change. They can change up or change down. All of these are possible. However, it's the point now we got to make a forecast. So certainly I'll be a little bit more confident tomorrow. Certainly I'll be more confident the day after that as well. But what we have now is what we got. So I think it's still helpful information, even if we know it might change a little bit as we get a little bit closer. Okay. Another flash of the map here. If you missed this, you can always find it on my page. You can message me. I know I didn't get to every one of the comments, but we had a lot of people watching here. I'm actually going to do another video in about 20 minutes on my page as well. So you can just click over to Meteorologist Tim Buckley and give a like, give a follow. We do these chats every night, even when the weather's easy and when it's boring, just because we like to talk about the weather. So feel free to hop on over there and say hello again. But thanks for being here. We'll try and do this again on the News 2 page tomorrow night and Saturday night as well. I'll be here throughout the weekend until that last flake is done falling. Take care, everybody.